I now move to Amrullah Saleh, no stranger to many of us here in Delhi, a former head of Afghanistan's National Directorate of Security. Amrullah.
Thank you. I also thank Ministry of External Affairs and ORF for inviting me. I'm outwarded by this brilliant analysis by Christine Fair. If she delivered this presentation in Afghanistan, there would be 4 standing ovations for her. And if and when I become Afghan president, I would give her Afghan citizenship and make her our ambassador to Washington. And let me be honest, if she chose this statement as her electioneering statement in Afghanistan, and if we had a good electoral system, she would win a seat in our parliament. I have been worrying since this morning how to explain Afghanistan in 5 minutes, but it's a very complex issue.
Given your old job, I'll give you 007.
Okay. There is a new narrative. A lot of people are focused on ISIS. When I was speaking in Jaipur, one commentator said, ISIS is the new flavor. But I said the menu of terror remains the same. And a lot of groups, as exactly Christine Fair said, who are posing real security challenges and threats to us, and they are killing our countrymen on a daily basis, they are sort of softly, silently being removed from the terror index. And we tend to forget who are killing us, and we fall into the trap of the narrative other people create for us. So therefore, I'm least interested in explaining what is ISIS doing in Afghanistan, because there is no ISIS or very little ISIS. But in order to contextualize the terror we are facing and also visualize it, I have done a comparison of ISIS with Taliban, similarities and commonalities between the two groups. I start from the symbols. The Taliban flag is white with black writing. The ISIS flag is black with white writing, which means for both groups the world is black and white. It is colorless. There is no diversity in it. The leadership of both groups remain mythical. They are not answerable to the group or to the people they try to represent and lead. 3, the approach of both groups to the situation is takfiri, which means they reject everybody else. They think everyone else is deviant, needs to be corrected. It's the same thing with the Taliban and Daesh. 4, both groups have a hatred of history, pre-Islam history. Daesh, ISIS destroyed Palmyra. Taliban destroyed Buddhist sites in Bamyan. 5th, both groups are anti-women. Both the Taliban and Daesh believe women are incomplete, and they don't and should not enjoy equal status with men. 6, both claim exclusive ownership of communication with God. They believe no one else has that authority to communicate with God. And so this is real. They believe God is only talking to them and coming to their dreams. The ISIS Khalifa and the Taliban Amirul Mu'mineen, if you read the TOR of the both leaders, it's exactly the same. There is over 99% overlap in the job description of the Amirul Mu'mineen or the Khalifa. Both reject political competition and contesting the elections, and they will melt down and fade away the moment they agree to become answerable by mouth, not by the barrel of the gun. Both groups. Both groups are born out of a state collapse. and they exploit regional geostrategic differences in the region they operate. Tactics of the both groups are the same: beheading, burning human beings, mass displacement, scorched earth policies. Just to remind you, Taliban in the 90s displaced millions of Afghans from their homes. The biggest displacement took place in 99 in Shamali Plains. 500,000 people were forced from their homes, evicted, and their women folk were separated from men folk. Both are anti-minorities. Remember, when the Taliban were in power, they massacred Shias and they attacked the Hindus of Afghanistan, and they put a yellow badge on them and subjected them to the special jizya tax and eventually forced them to flee the country. Daesh does the same to Yazdis and other minorities in the Middle East. Both impose dress code, and both measure the size of men's beard, and that measurement, according to them, shows piety and loyalty of men to God and to the causes of God. 14, both use and endorse suicide bombings for their followers, excluding their leadership. Hypocrisy is the norm in both leadership of the Taliban and the ISIS. And both preach afterlife as more valuable and bigger and more rosy than life, again for their followers. You have hardly seen any Taliban leader doing a suicide attack, but they continue to brainwash teenagers and encourage them to do suicide attacks, as if the heaven they preach to the people does not exist for them. Both consider NGOs and humanitarian organizations to be spying missionaries of Western countries, and therefore taking their staff hostage. As I am speaking here, Taliban have NGO staff hostage, and they extort money and take ransom. Both groups reject modern governance and management practices. They equate wearing jeans or suit as a sign of blasphemy and infidelity. So, these are all the commonalities. Few more figures, then I come to the concluding point. Taliban have killed more Americans, more Afghans, more South Asians. They have inflicted more pain on India than ISIS. The Taliban attacks are more lethal than ISIS. They destroy more vehicles every month than ISIS. But yet, why there is this olive branch of reconciliation extended to Taliban? Here is the difference. I echo what Christine Fair said. Because they have offices in Karachi, they have offices in bases in Quetta, and they have bases in Peshawar. So therefore, it has become a wicked problem, and it lacks a definition. So, my message to India is, Taliban, for you and for us, is as much as of a threat as ISIS is for other countries. So we should not lose sight, and we should be very careful, regardless of what type of a context we propose to the Taliban for the reconciliation. The moment the space they have is legitimized, it will boost further their standing and their morale and their passion for killing more, because at the end of the day, they will say, we didn't get this through nonviolence, we got it through violence. So bringing that type of a group with so much blood on its hand into this system means we are rewarding violence, and we are rewarding terror. The counter argument will be they are strong. So which means, are we all united to kill weak terrorists only? If they become stronger, then we acknowledge and recognize them. The answer should be no. Now, I will end this by quoting Mr. Sartaj Aziz, who said the day before yesterday that Pakistan has influence over Taliban because the Taliban leadership and their families are living in Pakistan for medical treatment. Medical treatment for 15 years. This is his statement. I am not putting any word into it. And I jokingly put in my tweet, and you expect America to pay you for this little revelation? Is that why you are confessing it now? So I agree with this terminology I just learned now. They are state-sponsored proxy groups who are not political in any way or means. They brainwash young people. They are takfiris, and they are created to hurt you and to hurt us. Thank you.
This question is for my dear friend and colleague Chris Fair and Amrullah Saleh. How is the ISI Pakistan dealing with the split between Mullah Rasul and Mullah Mansour, and what's up with Mullah Zakir these days? Okay. And then especially for Amrullah, how long can the unity government hold out? We still don't even have a year and a half, we still don't even have a mayor in Kabul and a
Thank you, sir.
defense minister.
Saranan, quick question.
My question is addressed to Mr. Amrullah. You came out with an excellent similarities between Taliban and IS. And I consider there is no good Taliban, or there can't be any good IS either. I want to know how far the government in Afghanistan is capable of resisting the proxy war which is going on, and is it afraid that one day Taliban can take over Kabul without the help of others, and from where the help will be sustained over a period of time?
Okay, fine. We'll go with the answers now. So there have been questions asked to Amrullah, to I think Christine and Michael. So Amrullah, you can go first.
How much ISI is in control of the split? The faction which has affiliation with ISI within the Taliban, that faction will prevail, because no other country in the region has the strategy, the calculation, the pros and cons of affiliating itself with the Taliban. So therefore, for Taliban to retain their brand, they have to strengthen their ties with Pakistan. Pakistan for Taliban is not only a country, an establishment, a government, but it's also a ideological infrastructure and forms of the madrasas that the Taliban benefit from. So therefore, those groups who do not retain their relationship with ISI and with Pakistan, they can fight under any other name, but not in the name of the Taliban. This is a brand that the Pakistani establishment has monopoly of. So therefore, the connection between Pakistan establishment and extremism and militancy is extremely deep and very strong. The other, so the effort of today in Pakistan is to turn Mansour into the second myth. So the first myth died, Mullah Omar. The second myth, they released these wrong information that he's in Dubai, he's in Iran, he was wounded, he is this. He went nowhere. He didn't do any rallies. If you listen to his inaugural speech, and if you pay attention, it is claimed he was speaking to his followers. But you do not see any chanting of Allahu Akbar. You do not hear anybody saying anything. All you hear is the noise of a cat, which means he was sitting somewhere in a safe house and doing this audio tape. So the other similarity between ISIS and Taliban is the Taliban leader, the first leader, Mullah Omar, appeared in public once, so has al-Baghdadi. This guy, Mansour, has only spoken once. And it's an audio tape of him available only. The other question is, how long will NAC go? I think this government will finish its term. Of course, it is under enormous stress, both externally and internally. But by virtue of the system that we have, it's a presidential system, so the government does not need a parliamentary majority to survive. So it will have a lot of challenges in various aspects, but it will not risk a meltdown or collapse. The last question is, how can National Unity Government of Afghanistan resist proxy war? I want to give you a really, really honest answer. It is not an Afghanistan issue. It's a regional issue and it's an international issue. So the question from an Indian patriot should be, how can we assist Afghanistan to resist this proxy war? God forbid, and if we fail, you lose a very reliable, formidable ally in this region. So will the West. So we are fighting a war. Our blood is poured and shed for a cause which is very noble, which is very humane, and the whole world, including India, is benefiting from that sacrifice our security forces give. Thank you.